Great. Open up questions for our players.
Yeah, I just want to start out with Mayar obviously having, I believe, 32 tonight. Thoughts on your individual performance and what was a career high?
My teammates were just finding me, and I was hitting the day. That's it.
I talked a little bit with some of the players and coach throughout the early portion of the conference schedule about the quality of opponent that you all face in these first 5 games coming against the preseason top 5 teams. Now on the other side of that with the result here tonight against Akron, I'm curious what you all maybe learned about the group through these first 5 games, maybe any key takeaways you've had against this early season gauntlet.
We knew coming into this after Christmas break we were gonna have this tough schedule. We prepared for it. It's just about coming back. We got to come out in that first half a lot better, a lot stronger, and stick to our principles.
And then just speaking there on the start to the game, I believe it was only 2 points in the first 9 minutes, and then you all turn it around from there. When you look at that from your perspective, trying to battle out of that early 20-point hole, how critical do you think that start was in the overall result of the game tonight?
Very critical. You can't in the league we play in, like, you can't start like that against good teams. It's never good for you. But yeah, it's definitely very critical starting a game like that.
Just one last wrap up on my end going forward, continuing into MAC play. Anything you guys are looking forward to out of the group as you continue to progress throughout the season?
Just getting back to our defense and back to our rebounding. I think those are 2 things we work on every day, and we all know we excel in. That's something that our coaches look for us and our teammates need from us, so that's what we're going to do.
Down 20 about halfway through the first half and then down 16 at halftime. What was the talk by coaches, by players in the huddles, in the locker room for you guys going into that second half trying to mount that comeback?
Well, Coach was just preaching. Coach preaches stick to our principles. Just do what we're good at. Do what we know. And we adjusted. We adjusted very well coming out, and we started to get stops and started to get rebounds. At one point, we got 6 stops in a row. But that's who we are. That's who we are as a team, and that's what we need to get back to.
And it seems like you guys were switching at times in the second half from man to the 1-3-1 zone. Ended up going to the press at the end. How important is it for you guys to be able to keep switching between those, and what do you think you took out of that in terms of defenses that helped in those situations?
It's very important to keep switching those because it messes the other team up. They have to keep switching their plays and switching their mindsets and how they attack our defense, and we work on that all the time, switching defenses. We work on trying to be good at every defense because exactly the situations just like this.
And then 2 straight games where you guys get close at the end but aren't able to finish it away. Is there anything in terms of late game execution that you guys think you need to improve on moving forward through conference play?
Rebounding. Honestly, it really just comes down to rebounding. Rebounding key moments when we get those stops and we have the energy. I believe we were 1 stop away, we were 1 possession away, and we needed that rebound and just didn't get it.
We got finished possessions.
Gentlemen, I think obviously this was probably built up a lot of Campbell, Johnson, 2 of the leading scorers there in the MAC. Both guys, defenses seem to be pretty good against them right there. You guys did a tremendous job against Johnson. He's averaging 21 points. He got 4 for the game. How important do you think it was? And Wol, why do you think you became kind of that secondary scorer for you guys in the second half with the first 17 of your guys' points there?
We knew coming in that he was one of the leading scorers. We go over all the time, and I know that Tay and all the rest of us too, because when we end up switching, we take pride in trying to get stops, especially when we know like who we're guarding. Knowing personnel is very important.
Any more questions? Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Coach, if you'd like to start with an opening statement, and we can open it for questions.
Yeah, we obviously we dig ourselves a hole. You know, it was a game that you wish you had the first 8 minutes back where we get down 20 and last 32 minutes you're up by 10. You know, so it's a kind of tale of those stretches, but we got to be better in those stretches. We came out and we missed some bunnies, we missed some shots. It just kind of we looked kind of lethargic, which I was a little bit worried about. We've been playing some guys a lot of heavy minutes. Obviously, a tough stretch. Third game in 6 days with really no breaks. In 8-9 days without a break for us with the way the schedule went and a couple of tough road games. So, we were a little concerned about that, and but I thought once we kind of caught our wind, got calmed down, we did a much better job and much better job defensively, holding 9 field goals in the second half, which is they're such an elite offensive team. You got to give them credit. They do great stuff. They're very hard to guard, but we just didn't quite get over the hump in winning time. I thought we secure a rebound here or there. We didn't have a great possession. There's a couple things that we just got to clean up.
Questions for Coach?
Yeah, I remember talking with you earlier in the season about this first 5-game stretch, and just the difficulty of the competition faced. I'm curious now on the other side of that, maybe some things you might have learned about your team through those first 5 games against the preseason top 5 teams in the MAC.
Yeah, I mean it's a resilient group. They never quit. We've seen that, and we're a team that can score in bunches at times. We've been good in our press situations. We've shown flashes of being what we want to be, and we've got to get a little more consistent with it. We've got to figure out a way to shoot at home. Our shooting percentage at home, we're 41 on the road and 29 at home from 3 for whatever reason. We've got to figure out a way to get those to fall. I think that's cost us our home games, and so. But we did learn a lot of when we see Miami or an Akron, some of these teams the second time around, or Kent, that we can, things that we can do, and attack a little bit differently, and do that for a full 40.
On the offensive side, throughout that stretch, the free throw effort has been something that stood out to me. You had one game you get to the line 45 times, 31 times in another, and then 23 in another 2 previous to tonight. How much of that do you see in dictating the success of the squad offensively, and is that something you maybe see as an essential element to the team?
Yeah, no, it is. It's hard because every game is its own life to it. What one game is officiated, in the next game is dramatically different. And it's not necessarily for good, bad, or indifferent, but it's a very different sport, almost night to night, depending on what it is. But it's usually for both teams. So we got to make an adjustment. So, I think when it's kind of by the book, Javonte Campbell gets hammered on every play, because he's so quick and shifty, and when it's kind of let loose and free a little bit, he gets beat up a little bit. It's a little bit harder, but. So you figure out in those first few minutes, okay, this is how it's going to look and how it feel, but it's impactful, and that's why we have to be able to do things in multiple ways, and the games that maybe are a little bit more free flowing and less whistles, you have to have other ways to attack. So that's the sport.
And then looking ahead, I believe next game comes at home against Eastern Michigan in about a week. Maybe some things you're looking forward to from the team going into that game, and looking to rebound here at home.
Yeah, we're very excited. This group, obviously Justin Thomas is a warrior. He tried to go, Javon Ruffin, is very, very sick. Couldn't go on Tuesday. Left the locker room, not in good shape in the restroom right now, and just he's very sick. But he gave us almost 30 minutes and doing the best he could, and so guys are banged up from the stretch, and it'll be good to have a bye on Tuesday, get some recovery, get back to basics, and then get Eastern on Saturday.
After Tuesday's game, you really stressed how important it was for you guys to make the stops and make the shots when it mattered in the final few minutes. Outscored 13-6 in the final 3:45 today. How would you grade the closeout performance, and do you think there were any improvements that you saw from how you guys closed out against Kent State?
Yeah, when you get in that stretch, whereas we've had so many games where we've been really, really good, we were unbelievable at finishing out UMass and some of those, and then today we get a bad possession out of the timeout. We don't execute great. And then key rebound, it turns into a 3. Those are just toughness plays. You got to come up with those balls. To get another one, the guy gets, at the end of the game, it gets physical. And again, Sam gets kind of the ball ripped from him and turns into an and one. All of a sudden that's 6 points just based on rebounds alone and down the stretch. And then you got a foul, and it always blows up the score a little bit. But those 3 plays right there are a difference in the game, and that's how the ending of games works. And so you don't get a free pass on any of those.
And basically down Justin Thomas right now, and he mentioned Javon Ruffin probably half of what he normally is due to the sickness, facing an Akron team that is a generally smaller team, not a ton of huge guys. How tough was that tactically to go against a smaller team with bigs that you like to have down there in Glover and Towns and try to rotate that throughout?
Yeah, I mean, we had to move Wol exclusively to the 2 and a 3 spot, which we were playing him a lot at the 4 previously. Because you start running short a little bit on perimeters, you can't play our small ball lineup with Sam at the 5 and Wol at the 4, which we like a lot. And, so we're kind of shifting guys around. We have, just guys playing a little bit out of position, so guys are learning positions on the fly these last few days, just so we can kind of keep a core unit that has a little more experience on the floor. In games like this, you need some shooting and sort of that sort of thing. So it changes the formula without a doubt.
Mayar, obviously, with a great game, and he's seen an increased role in the last couple, starting some games. Can you just talk about his impact on today's game, but also as of late?
Yeah, I mean, just a fantastic scorer. I mean, he's a guy that we've got a whole set of, I think I ran 20 plays for him. I mean, just because when he gets going, there's nothing you can do. It doesn't matter who's in front of him. He doesn't see anybody. Like we've seen this act before. And so, fortunately, when he got going, we just tried to get him the ball in as many different places as possible and as much of an advantage as possible and let him do his thing. But and credit to our guys. This group is so unselfish that when they know when it's someone else's night, that they get him the ball. And that's a unique thing on some teams where they say, hey, it's okay. It'll be my night the next night. So credit to our guys for recognizing that room was pretty big for him tonight.
With the exception of Kent State, a lot of these high-ranking losses have kind of seen the pattern of a slow first half followed by a really great second half. What's kind of the root of that slow first half, and what do you see in that?
Yeah, and and obviously these are all good teams. I mean, they're all Akron and William and Mary and UVU. These are all top 100-ish type net teams, and so the quality in Miami, all 4 of them. And so I mean, the quality opponent, I got to give credit to them. They do a great job being who they are, but we've got to be able to make shots at home. And we're trying to figure this thing out. It's been very bizarre. Because to shoot 41 from 3 on the road, which would be among the nation's leaders, and then 29 at home, it's kind of a head scratcher. So, but it's not for lack of effort. This group shoots a bazillion shots, and we're like, maybe we're just shooting too much, maybe we're practicing too much, maybe we just need to show up to the game and just let it fly. I don't know, but we need to make more shots. Otherwise, that really is the root of our slow starts.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about that too, shooting 28% tonight and then take away Mayar and only 1 3 made from the rest of the team. Do you think it's a mental thing or just the wear and tear of these top opponents that you've played as of late? Or?
Well, I think it's probably a little combination. I mean, Javon is barely upright today, and that's one of our elite shooters. Sam had a cold night, and so now that he kind of takes another one off the board, and when you start playing some heavy minutes, the shooters, quality of shots go down. These guys playing 30 to 40 minutes, it's not, you don't have the same legs as you do. And so it'll be good to get those guys back healthy so we can get back to our rotation where we had a strong bench. Tonight with only 1 field goal off the bench. That's really hard against an Akron team that just comes at you at waves.
21 points game, leading scorer in the MAC. You guys held him to 4. What was a key to that defensive plan and at least containing him and not letting that one guy beat you when he's beaten so many people this year?
Yeah, he's a fantastic player, just a fantastic player. We respect the heck out of him. Our deal was we wanted to show as many different coverages as we possibly could. But he was a big factor in our game plan, and just to make sure he keeps seeing bodies in front of him.
Also, it looked like they used a lot of athletic length, and a guy like Evan Mahaffey that's played in the Big Ten for most of his college career, defending Campbell a lot. How difficult of an adjustment was that for not only Campbell but the team in general, especially in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, they've got incredible. They're a high major team. They're a very high major team. Their second unit would probably contend in a lot of leagues. They're so talented. And they're long, they're athletic, they got positional size, they got shooting. Bowen Hardman was in the Big Ten. You think about all these guys they've been able to retain. It's a spectacular lineup. But there's a reason why they've won 25 of 27 or 27 of 29, whatever it is. And I would argue that they've one of the best teams in the history of the MAC last year, if not the best ever. To mow through what they did, you got it's hats off to them.
And the last one I had for you, did you sense? I mean, obviously it was a lot of effort when you got to play from behind. All 40 minutes right there. But did you sense, especially with having to play so many games in just a short amount of time too, that maybe after that under 4, that you guys just kind of ran out of a little bit of steam there at the end?
I think it's 100% a factor. I mean, we asked Javonte Campbell hasn't subbed out in 3 games, and it wasn't like we're playing down the street. We fly to UMass. You fly. You're traveling to Kent. These are hard places to play, and every coach I run into before the game, they all say, "It's like, what in the world? How did you made somebody mad to get this schedule?" I know it's all random and computer generated or whatever may be the case, but it is. I mean, it's just an absolute stretch, and Javonte's on his 125th straight minute. It's just hard to ask guys to be perfect in that. And what's hard about that is not only the time, but what you're asking guys to do. We're not a walk it up team. We're not changing our style. So I mean, it is what it is. You step up to the plate and let's roll. And guys are warriors, and see what happens.
Any more questions for Coach? Just one more.
Mayar, in the final 2 shots against Kent, he was the one that took both those, missed both those good looks, comes out with 32 tonight. What does it speak to him and the kind of athlete that he is, that he was able to move past that so quick and a quick turnaround to this game and go out there and have the performance he did?
Yeah, it's part of what makes him who he is. He's got a supreme confidence. He had 2 great looks. I actually thought he got fouled on both of them. So he came back and without a conscience and it goes for 32. Quite a deal for him, we're glad he's with us.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Have a great night.